Welcome to the Talking Diaries podcast featuring Dr. Louis Koster with John Kremer. So let's ask another question. Because this is something I think everybody would ask you in the context of what we've been talking about in this particular entry to your diary. And that is, you know, I can't figure out how can I allow for the totality of what arises? I mean, all this stuff, boom, 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 up, thought. How do I allow for that so that I can fall into being? Is that magical, or is there a real thing I can do besides allowing? Does that make sense? Because in it, you say that when what arises is stripped from its dual nature, then all that remains is the unchanging reality of being.
Yes,
But how does someone allow for the totality of what arises? I guess maybe I'm stuck on the word allow.
yeah. So first off, it is interesting to see where the question is coming from that you're asking. So you are asking the question, so to speak, from the mind, like
Right.
being hooked in that reality. You ask yourself, how can I get out of it? And that is very interesting. And the truth is, or the answer is that you can't get out of it. That is one thing to understand or to see. You can't leave the dream of the thinking from the dream or from the thinking. That's part of the trap. And so part of the trap of the mind is trying to get out of the trap. You only affirm more of its reality. What is possible, though, is that you bring yourself in a place of, let's call it, investigation or exploration. And how I like to start there is to realize that thoughts happen to me, not by me. So when I take that on, like when I kind of dwell in that, like, like I realize that actually all these thoughts, they happen to me, not by me. It kind of gives me the permission to just let them be. I mean, if they're
Okay.
not by me, I may as well just let them be, right? And then see what happens. And so that takes a bit of courage. I mean, it's like, oh, wait a moment, Louis, you're gonna tell me to let all of that stuff be? What if? But that's the whole point. Whatever follows the what if, or is a demonstration that you take it for reality. There is an aspect of that which you take for reality, and that discloses where you are hooked in the thinking, because it's not reality, it's just a thought. So when you take that on like an experiment, and I would say take it on as an experiment to allow for the totality of whatever is there, you might come to some amazing discoveries. You may even become curious, like, my God, like, wow, like, you have a thought that points to the future and gives you this doomsday scenario, like this horrible thing that might happen. Now, can you be with that? Can you allow for that thought? Not just allow for that thought, like, okay, I will allow for it. Can you allow for the totality of it? Really? Can you allow for the totality of it and not let it affect you in your being? Just let it be and then stay with it. with that, you expand your capacity to just be. In fact, you are practicing being. And what comes with it is an enormous freedom to be. And that's ultimately what you're after. It's a sense of freedom, a sense of just being there, being yourself. And having said that, the solution to your problems, so to speak, or the solution of not being yourself is not found in the thinking. It is the opposite. The more you engage with whatever the thinking presents or tells you that is a problem, will actually get you more stuck into it. So, and the solution might be found somewhere else. No. So if you muster the courage to let be whatever is there, at some point you might discover that in the process of allowing and you experience what is arising exactly as it is, then it just dissipates. It loses its hold over you. It loses its dual nature of that there is a you having the experience of something. While it was just a thought. There is no separate you that is having an experience of something. That is an illusion made up by the mind. That is a function of language, which I call the magic or the power. You could call probably more the force of language. And I'm not belittling language as such because or the mind, because it has got its functions. Like I practice medicine. I am a medical doctor, or I see patients. So I need to be oriented around what's going on with the person in front of me, and discern what matters and what does not matter in the context of a person's health. That is an activity of the mind. So I like to give it its place. But a mind can and does, or has got this capacity that if you don't recognize it, you get into an experience of life. If you identify yourself with it, then that might limit what is possible for you in your expression of what you are. And that is what we are talking about.
Thank you for listening to the Talking Diaries podcast featuring Dr. Louis Koster. For more information, check out louiskoster.com/Talking Diaries and subscribe to the Talking Diaries YouTube channel. Also, check out louiskoster.com/quiz and take the free quiz to discover more about yourself.